Has it ever happened to you that you find this awesome technique, this thing that you think, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to help me change everything. And you do it a couple times, it works, it feels great, and then you use it. You use it when you need it most. And you find, oh, it just didn't work. Well, I don't think it's the technique's fault. I don't think there's anything wrong with the technique you're using. But I do think there's a problem, and the problem is with the way we practice. So today, what I want to talk about a little bit is about how to create perfect practice. So whatever skills, tools, whatever things you're using to better your life, you can actually use them better by creating the right kind of practice or the perfect practice. So if you want to learn more, check it out. Yoga Psych. Ancient answers for your current problems. Hi, I'm Brett, your favorite shrink, right? And welcome back. Welcome back to Yoga Psych. I want to share with you a story. And the story is about this guy who can't regulate his anxiety. He is just anxious, off the charts anxious. And he doesn't know how to do anything really to calm himself down. So he's really struggling going to work. He's struggling functioning. He's struggling living life. So first thing I want to do is I want to teach him how to regulate his anxiety by regulating his breath. Breath is the most basic thing that you can do to help yourself regulate or begin to regulate your own anxiety levels. And the reason for that is because breath in yoga, in Eastern traditions, breath and spirit, breath and energy are referred to almost synonymously. They work in the same ways. We have what's called prana. Prana both means the energy, the life force that's moving through you, and it also means the breath, your breathing, how you're breathing. Vayus, kind of the same idea. Vayus literally means wind, but it also can mean energy. The Vayus, how the energy is moving through you. So when I want to help somebody begin to regulate their energy within their body, which is what's happening when we're having anxiety, we need to regulate energy. The first thing I teach them is how to regulate their breath, because it is their breath that is going to be the key. So we do some diaphragmatic breathing. We work on trying to get our breath low and slow. We work on what I call breathing through the bottom of our feet. We work on circle breaths. We do all these really awesome exercises to help this guy begin to calm down. And sure enough, in that session, his anxiety level, I usually like to rate it at the beginning. His anxiety level was like a 7 or 8. By the end of the session, it was a 1. So I know the exercise worked. I know he was able to be successful with it. But then the next week when he came back, I said, so how'd it go? How did your breathing work? How was your anxiety this week? And his response was terrible, awful. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get my anxiety down. I couldn't focus on my breathing. I was just a mess. I wish I had a nickel for every time I heard that, because I hear that often, that people will learn techniques and then have trouble implementing them. The trouble is they're not practicing right. So what's that mean? Well, imagine if you were going to learn how to swim, right? You're going to the pool, you're learning how to swim. When would be the optimal time for you to practice swimming? Well, most of the time it's when you're in shallow water. You don't want the water to be much more above this for you to really begin to practice swimming. But what would happen if you learned how to swim and then you got thrown in the pool and you're starting to drown? You're in the deep water. You're treading water. You're trying to save your own life. And then you practice swimming? How well is that going to go? Well, not very well. You can't practice swimming only when you're drowning. It doesn't work. What do you need to do instead? Well, what we need to do instead is we need to practice swimming when we're not drowning, when we're okay, when we're level-headed, when we're in a safe place, the water's not too deep. Well, the same thing is true, particularly with breath, particularly with this guy's exercise, and really almost with any exercise that you learn on the internet or through therapy. The best time to practice is not when you're drowning. When you're drowning, your brain is flooded, you are going down, and you cannot focus for the life of you. So again, I bring him back to my office. I say, okay, let's do some breathing. Let's get you back down to a normal place. Again, I want to give him experiences that help him reinforce this can work, this does work, I can do this. And then as we get him back down to a nice, calm place, we work on breaking down the practice sessions themselves. And the way I want him to practice, it's pretty much the way I want most people to practice most techniques, but breathing is just a good example. The way I want people to practice is one, during a block of time. It could be laying in bed as you're falling asleep for 20 minutes. As you're laying there, you're just trying to drift off anyway. Allow yourself to sit and breathe. Now, the second way I wanted him to practice breathing was just randomly throughout the day. Hopefully 5, 6, 7 times a day, he just would be driving his car, at a meeting, at home, watching TV, whatever, and just remember, oh yeah, I got to breathe. And he would just take a couple breaths and then go on with his day. Now, by doing that kind of a practice, what happens is that you build much better neural pathways in your brain, because your neural pathways are not competing against all the flood of anxiety or other things that are going on in your brain when you're panicking. When you're panicking, particularly, there's a chemical called cortisol that's flooding through your system. Cortisol will actually prevent new neural pathways from being built and block any kind of memory or recall. Things just don't stick as well when you're stressed out, right? You know that. So wrong time to practice is when you're panicking. Right time to practicing is when you're relaxed. Now, this is true for anything. And I'm not just talking about breathing. If your goal is to practice affirmations, or if you want to practice The Secret and you want to practice visualizing positive things for yourself, that's great. But I want you to practice, when you practice, I want you to practice in a quiet space, not when you're panicking. Now, you may want to use these techniques later on when you are panicking, but when you're panicking, not the time to be practicing the techniques. So use the techniques, breathing, positive thinking. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Do it any technique you want. Again, do it in a block of time for 10, 20 minutes over and over and over again, and then do it randomly throughout the day, minimum 5, 6 times. All right, I hope that helps you practice perfect practice. Again, I'm Brett, your favorite shrink. If you like the video, like the video. If you want to make some comments, I would love to hear your feedback. Talk to you soon. Take care. Yoga Psych. Ancient answers for your current problems.